Welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. We're glad to see everyone here today. Those of you who are back there in the buffet line, if you could keep the noise to a minimum, we'd appreciate it. And I know you can hear me now. Here to give the invocation is Evan Eastman, followed by past President Doug Briley performing the national anthem.
Please bow your heads. Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to gather together today as friends, neighbors, and Rotarians united in common purpose to serve our community and one another. We thank thee for the blessings we enjoy, for those who prepared this meal, for today's speakers and guests, and for the many volunteers whose quiet service makes our club and our city stronger. As we begin this meeting, please help us to seek what is true, to speak with honesty, listen with humility, and pursue wisdom in all we do. Father, please guide us to choose what is fair in our decisions and in our dealings with others, remembering that integrity is measured not only by our words, but by our actions. We ask thee to help us build goodwill and better friendships through kindness, respect, and genuine concern for every person we meet. May we see opportunities to encourage, include, and uplift those around us. We ask thee to inspire us whether our efforts will be to make sure our efforts are beneficial to all concerned, so that our service strengthens our community, our professions, and the lives of those we have the privilege to help. And we say these things, amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much, Evan and Doug. We appreciate it. Now, please welcome to the stage Johnny Reiser, who will announce our guests. And we welcome everyone.
Thank you, Tom. So for today, we've got a huge list of guests, and I'd love to acknowledge every single person, but it would take way too long. So if you could just stand so we could acknowledge you and just thank you for coming. And there's a reason each single one of y'all are here today. So if you would like to join and be a part of this community, we'd love to have you. So thank y'all so much once again.
Again, thanks for being here. I'd like to thank our program sponsor, Dwayne Morris LLP. Today, we have 3 attorneys from their local Fort Worth office, Veronica Law, Ellen Gillis, and Taylor Wynn. Now, I'm looking around the room at some of you, and some of you are obviously in trouble, or you might be in trouble, or you don't know you're in trouble yet. So we have a lot of attorneys in our firm, but today they sponsored it. So go see these folks either way. So again, the the law firm handles real estate, commercial litigation, or employment law needs. We appreciate your sponsorship today. Okay, now let's recite the 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thanks very much. We had a rough start there, but that's fine. I want to talk to you all about those membership cards. I mentioned this last week and asked everybody to think about people you know that would be good Rotarians in our club. There are people, everyone knows somebody that would be it. So we've put some cards that look just like this. I'm looking around the room at those tables for you to write that down. If you would, as we go forward, go ahead and think about that. Hopefully there's some pens on the table. I don't think there are, but somebody at your table probably has one. And write down some prospects that you think would be good, okay? We're not going to take these from you today. We're going to ask you to write them down, write your prospects down, and take the cards with you today, and then also add anybody else, and then contact these people this week and talk to them about the club. And if you need any coaching or guidance on that, you can talk to me or anyone else on the board or anybody in our membership committee or almost anybody else in the club. So that'd be good. Okay, so don't forget to do this. This is very, very important. We really would love to have more members. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, and this is about the only reason I come to Rotary every week, is to hear the newscast. And today it's going to be done by John Fletcher. John.
Thank y'all so much. I feel about as welcome as an update in the middle of a presentation. Well, it's Friday, and that means Rotary News. In the spirit of Rotary, at least some of this newscast is true, even just partially. But here's something to celebrate. To show our support for the food industry, including those who may be struggling, we sourced today's salad from Taco Bell. So we'll understand if some of you need to leave early and quickly. Taco Bell is copying other restaurants by using popular music in its advertising. First, Chili's came up with the baby back ribs. McDonald's had the song Hungry Eyes. Taco Bell has just this week licensed a song from the Eagles, the song Peaceful Easy Feeling. It's now going to be called Peaceful Queasy Feeling. As this newscast begins, I'm as optimistic as a Dallas Cowboys fan in September or a Horned Frog fan in November. And as we look at football season, every fan says this is our year, and about half of them are wrong by Labor Day. In more sporting news, all of baseball is complaining about the Los Angeles Dodgers. They've won 2 consecutive World Series, and they have most stacked roster in the league. And this last week, they signed the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. In a stunning move, the Dodgers are negotiating with yet a proven multi-position player, our own Rotarian Don Pearson, and who is also negotiating an impressive NIL deal with the Horned Frogs in case he stays 1 more year for college. In further baseball news, a father was inspired after watching the movie Field of Dreams, and he wanted to play catch with his son. However, the son said he was completely owning some other kid, some other kid on the internet, we'll forget that one, and plus it's too hot outside, he doesn't want to work up a sweat. But all the talk is about the movie, The Odyssey. I'm giving away the cliffhanger at the end of the movie. Penelope is out of baking powder, and she sends Odysseus to go back out on another errand. In a related story, Christopher Nolan, who produced the movie, replaced the giant wooden Trojan horse with a giant rabbit, and then, as you see, now with Jimothy the raccoon. Their surprising guest appearance confused people on Jeopardy this week. Fresh from his appearance before Congress, Anthony Fauci was a special guest on Jeopardy, but it didn't go well. Every time he was asked a question, he took the Fifth Amendment. In this age of influencers and nonsense, something new has broken the internet. We talked about Jimothy right there. Well, the chunky raccoon without a tail is all the rage. And our reporters have launched into a new series of raccoon jokes that include Shavoy Hamilton. Tell us yours.
I was born to be wild, but only till 9 p.m.
That's it. Okay, Perry Pello.
Hey, I don't steal hearts, but every now and then maybe a snack.
Okay, and Jim Parr.
You'll be glad to know that Timothy has been named the Grand Marshal at the Fort Worth Christmas Parade.
That's great. Thank you very much. Those are your roving reporters. In war news, the War Department, if I can hit this, there you are, has come up with a new secret weapon. Our military will fly and dump massive amounts of, you guessed it, Taco Bell lettuce over the enemy. It's the newest weapon of mass explosive destruction. And there's more news about the Strait of Hormuz. Country singer George Strait is seeking a name, image, and likeness on using his name. And beer lovers may have an alternative to beer. Let me see. Let me jump back to this one. Houses of faith are becoming more adventurous in their fundraising efforts. One church in Yazoo City, Mississippi, is trying to drum up more excitement by replacing its traditional weekly offering with a 50-50 raffle. We'll keep you posted. And here's this other one. Beer lovers may have an alternative to beer. A food nutritionist is asking Americans to get their yeast fix by putting a loaf of bread in a blender and drinking it. And that looks like that's just about it. CVS clerk has been named Employee of the Month for his relentless commitment to making every customer enter their rewards number. His greatest challenge came 2 nights ago when he actually convinced a man to enter his reward number even as the man was looting the store. And finally, the humor site, Babylon Bee, listed 9 things that men are better at than women. Among these are moving furniture, getting that thing on the top shelf, and, well, really, that's kind of about it. That's Rotary News.
Thanks, John. Thanks for that update on Taco Bell, too. Usually we just go there really, really late at night. Well, you understand. I'm sure many of you do. So we have a couple announcements today. Let's start with Akua and Yanful here with RYLA. That's the Rotary Young Youth Awards update.
Hi, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I'd like to say thank you very much, especially from the club, for funding RALA every single year. So this year, we're fortunate enough to fund 5 students. Out of the 5, 4 were able to attend. 1 had a family emergency and couldn't go. You would think, where are they? But everybody's on vacation or everybody is doing something else. But fortunately, we have 1 person here that is actually going to give us an overview of her experience at RALA. The good thing is that the person standing right here was also the one that we're most worried about. She was really shy and wouldn't talk. And for a minute, we were concerned. We did not know whether she was going to make it or not. But funnily enough, she's the one here to give you a presentation. So that is a testament of how wonderful the program is and how impactful it is. I would like to say thank you to Randall Howard. He's always my designated driver. He also provides his time and resources financially. And then also Tammy Terra, who I always call on. I mean, she hasn't said no yet, so I'm going to keep calling on her. So for those that don't know, RALA is actually a program that focuses on fostering leadership skills, personal growth, and community involvement. Participants develop communication, problem solving, and teamwork abilities while gaining confidence and building lasting friendships. The program also introduces them to Rotary values, so particularly community service, and encourages them to become active, engaged citizens. So today we have Bon. You would think I would know how to pronounce it because people can't pronounce my name, but. And she is from Como Success. So we actually took 3 schools, students from 3 main schools, I Am Terrell, Young Women Leadership Academy, and Como Success. And her dad is here, Peter. But on that note, Vaughn is actually going to be here to give us a presentation and share her experience.
Hello, everybody. I want to say I'm honored and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Bungay Chingkap, and in Ryler, I am in family group K. So today,
Can you see?
you can see. That's my family group K. They are the one who's been with me through the Raya Camp experience. And that's my school, Como Success Academy. I want to thank them for giving me this opportunity too. My anticipations of Ryler was we have to have compulsory public speaking because they want to, they want to make leaders or like make children experience leadership. And then there's competitive activities. I'm a very shy student, so I am very worried about that. And then I am also worried about not being able to hold proper conversation with others. As an anxious student, I'm really, like feeling shaky right now too. But next is supposed to be out of my safe zone, which is maybe not talk to anybody like that. And then to have fun. The quotation mark is because if you are forced to do something, how can you have fun, right? Next one. So what actually happened is there weren't any compulsory tasks for anybody. Everybody who wants to participate is their own choice, right? And then we have group activities, and there were never any competitions. But during those times, every time we do some activities, every time we play games, our brain thought that, oh, we have to compete with some of the other group, but we were actually wrong. I think our main lesson was to never compete with each other throughout all the activities. And then the other one was conversation naturally flows. That was my most worries, but actually never happened. When I talked to my group, everybody was so nice, and then it just flowed. Like right now, I'm just talking. I have no paper, anything. And then I didn't notice I was out of my comfort zone. Yes, it just naturally happened. By the last day, I was having fun. I was doing that. I was doing this. I didn't recognize myself. And I actually also have fun, right? So in the activities, I would like to show you guys some of the pictures. We are restricted to use phones, so these are the indoor activities. So the first one is called carpet game. We are told to just start walking and then memorize step. When we're wrong, we start all over again. There were two groups. We thought we're competing. Actually, it's not. That was our lesson. And the second one was, I forgot what it's called, but it was a teamwork game that stick one just, I don't know, stay balanced. It kind of make our group grow with each other, I would say, because we were so angry with that stick. And, and then the third one was finding each other and then be arranged in the numbers we are ordered. If you see me hugging the wall, because I'm number 0 right there. Yeah, okay. Next one. Next slide. These are also a few of them. We were told to make a helicopter out of those Legos, but we're not allowed to watch anything. Just one person go to a room where they already have a model, and then we have to come back and do, fix the Legos. But actually, I don't really participate in this because I couldn't remember anything, but I look really serious right there. Okay, that was our end products. Yeah. Next one. Our outdoor activities. This is where they make us put up these big tents outside. It's actually really nice tent. They say this is what they use in shelter box, which help millions of families, in places where they got no more homes because of some other causes. It was really hot that day, but the tent looked good, but in the inside we actually don't finish anything. Okay. Next page. This is our community service. We were told to carry those pots. I don't know what it's called. They told us to put them down, everything. My back still hurt from that experience. Yeah. The next slide. This is our etiquette dining, yes. This was a very first time experience for me. Everything was great. And our instructor was Deborah King. She was amazing. The food was delicious too. And next, this is what we wore on that day. We have to dress nicely for etiquette dinner, and then later on the next slide, we were in the city council room where we elected our mayor and all the other council members, and then we waited and talked about building data centers. I am the one that's against building it. I'm part of the team, but we lost. Next. This is our graduation. That's my certificate and my family and our certificates, yeah. The next. This is our final goodbye. So on the left, you might not see me because I'm taking the pictures, but we all just went around and then write on each other's shirt. And that is our final group photos. Thank you.
As you can see firsthand what your dollars are going towards, so I'll be happy to come back next year and ask you for some more money. Thank you.
Normally don't really like to do this, but that was really, really good, so. Wow. That was really good. Vaughn, thank you so much. And Dad, thank you for being here today. We really are glad you joined us. Akua, Randall, Tammy, thanks for all the work you're doing with this group. And whoever else is helping you too, this is really, really important. Now, Brenda will come up and give us a couple of second readings. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I really miss being up here with Ed, doing our comedic award-winning scripts.
What are you going to say?
I'm so glad you asked. But we have very important information to pass on. We have 2 second readings today. The proposed members are Paula Parrish. I move her election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and she is hereby elected. Welcome. The second reading is also for Gary Purdy. I move his election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session. I have a motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and he is hereby elected. Welcome.
Thanks, Secretary Brenda. Now I'd like to present a blue badge to Lauren Wessinger. Lauren, you come up on the stage. Now, I was really curious about this, so I pulled out my Club Runner app on my phone just to see when she joined, because I do remember when she joined, and you know, it is almost a year later.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, so we're very proud of you for earning this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You would get the other one.
Okay, I will, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah. Thank you. Take care. Okay, we have 2 new member introductions today. If we could have past President Larry Hampton join us, and followed by Josh Friend. Larry? Oh, he did.
Thank you, President Tom. Nate Krieger is a lifelong advocate for music education and the executive director of the Fort Worth After School Music Academy. A proud alumnus of both the Texas Boys Choir and the Dorothy Shaw Bell Choir, Nate's passion for music is nurtured from an early age. He went on to study vocal performance at Texas Christian University, laying the groundwork for a career that blends artistry, education, and leadership. Following his studies, he entered the music industry as the director of sales for the Smith Music Group, where he helped grow the visibility and distribution of Texas artists and regional music projects. He He then served for over a decade as a director of marketing and sponsorship coordination at Cowtown Coliseum. That's where I first got to know Nathan, playing a key role in developing brand partnerships and audience engagement strategies for some of Fort Worth's most iconic venues. Most recently, he brought his dynamic leadership to downtown Fort Worth as a visitor experience director for Sundance Square, enhancing community engagement and elevating the guest experience in the city's premier entertainment district. These roles sharpened his skills in outreach, operations, and cultural programming, but music remained at the heart of his personal mission. Today, he's building his life's purpose through music education. Through the Fort Worth After School Music Academy, he's expanding access to high-quality, cost-free music instruction for students across the region. Under his direction, the Academy empowers youth from all backgrounds to discover their voice, develop their talents, and grow in confidence through the transformative power of music. As a performer, he remains active in the arts, singing with the Fort Worth Opera Chorus and serving as a paid soloist at the First Presbyterian Church. Everybody welcome Nate Krieger to the club.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here in a room full of such great community leaders, and Larry is a great guy. I met Larry back in 2012 when I became marketing director at the Coliseum, and the first time I sat down in front of a big sponsor for the rodeo, it was Mr. Amphin at Coors, and I was really nervous and scared, and he made me feel very comfortable and helped me through that process and learn what it was like to build those relationships. And if every customer was like, or client was like Larry, I'd have hit 1,000 all the time. But as we know, not everybody is as kind and wonderful as he. The Fort Worth After School Music Academy is something that's very dear to my heart. We had an amazing summer camp this summer with over 30 kids, and 80% of those were on full scholarship. We're providing access to music is very important to me. It shouldn't be a privilege. It should be accessible to all people. And I'm excited to be a part of this community because Fort Worth really does support the fine arts in our youth. And it's evident by a lot of the people in the room and what we've been able to accomplish over such a short period of time. I look forward to continuing service above self and getting involved here with Rotary and continuing my mission to do so. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's like TCU music majors are us in here today. So today I'm glad to present Dr. Wayne Atchley as a new Rotarian. Wayne is the Vice President of UTA West and UTA Fort Worth, leading the charge for building the 51-acre university in the far west side and providing that Tier 1-based educational excellence, as well as innovative solutions for any of the corporate needs. More importantly, he's a really good boss to work for. Like me, Wayne is a double TCU alum, but he attended a little bit closer to when Addison and Randolph were still there. Wayne also holds degrees from Tech and A&M, so we can't hold that against him too much. Wayne worked for Tarleton for 17 years as dean, spent 3 years as vice president at TCC, and has just celebrated 1 year with UTA West. So really almost just Wesleyan needs to get him next. I think then you've got everything. A true Fort Worth native, not from Lubbock like me, Wayne is a musician. He's a bass player in the Unexpected Blues Band. He's a father, a husband to Stephanie, who's still on faculty at Tarleton, and splits his time between Stephenville and Walsh. He DJs on the side. He's available for bookings, both for the band and as a DJ, when he isn't managing his cattle on the ranch. Please welcome Wayne Atchley.
Well, thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. I had the journey to get here today has been about 9 months because it's just a lot of back and forth and getting my schedule to line up. But as Josh said, I am a native of Fort Worth. Born and raised here, I attended Castleberry High School. I did go to TCU twice. It was on purpose, so that was good. My undergraduate degree is in radio, TV, film, and then I naturally got a job as a computer programmer. And then wanted to be a better boss, so I went and got an MBA, And then that naturally led to me getting a doctorate in agriculture. So it all works, it all works. But I want to take just a moment before I give a little interesting fact and thank the Ryla young lady. If that speaking was wonderful, if that's out of her comfort zone. And Josh and I decided she needs to come back and do the news because she's really funny. But a neat fact about me, I think if you've already given most of them away, but I originally intended to attend every school in the Southwest Conference, but I couldn't bring myself to go to A&M, and then I ended up doing it. So thank you all. Appreciate you.
Nathan and Wayne, it's really good to have you here. You've made a good choice, and we're going to have a picture real quick. See, you too could be on the press corps. Remember, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, so that's something you want to do. Okay, we are going to run just a few minutes long today. We're a little bit behind schedule. I just ask you all your patience, and please stay with us through the end of the program. We'd appreciate it. Now, here's Chairperson of the Day, past President Don Pearson. Don?
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. How many folks in the room did not attend Texas Christian University? Coach? There we go. How many people in the room did attend TCU or work for TCU? Excellent. And that includes me as well. And I tell you, having the athletic director here, how to introduce Mike Buddy. And the one thing that comes into my mind 3 times is baseball, baseball, baseball. But I understand there's a lot more to Mike Buddy than just baseball. But when I think about college sports, why on earth would he take a job being an athletic director? And the one word that comes to mind is chaos. I wrote that down here in red. I looked it up. It's a state of extreme disarray. And can you imagine out there having 500 student athletes across 22, 23 different sports, and you're dependent on your job as to all these moving parts, and that's just out of a total of enrollment of approximately 15,000. When you add the entire athletic department, that's a big number. It's a big number to the city of Fort Worth. So let's talk about Mike Buddy for about 30 seconds, which is how much time I have left. He was born in Ohio, as I understand it. He attended Wake Forest, where he was a pitcher. Now, did you guys actually win a national championship? You're in the College World Series. Okay. There's what you kept them out. Look. All right, but he went to the bigs. He was with the Yankees, played in the bigs for 4 years. Did you bring a World Series ring today? Well, you're just going to have to go by school or otherwise meet up with him. So, and also what I found remarkable or interesting, he was the pitching coach for Kevin Costner in the movie he did For the Love of the Game, which is based on a true story. So anyway, are you ready to visit with us some, Coach? Come on up here, please. Mike Buddy, the athletic director at TCU. How's that? Go get it.
So you left out the best part of the chaos. 500 student athletes that we have to make sure go to class and represent our institution. And think about this, 20% of them are now making 6 figures. What can possibly go wrong? So good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. I just did a session for a local publication, and they said, kind of, how do you sum up your experience so far at TCU? I've been here about 18 months, and I said, the best part of TCU is Fort Worth. And I also said the best part of Fort Worth is TCU because I knew my audience, but we truly mean it. So this is my 45-minute presentation. I will work it down to about 15 so that we leave time for questions and answers. I have learned in my over 12 years now as an athletics director at 3 different institutions, it's much safer to take questions and answers than to assume I know what the heck it is you want to learn about. There's a little bit of things going on in college athletics right now. If I had 3 hours, I would get about halfway through it. But I always break my conversations down at three levels. What's going on at the national level? What's going on in our conference as it stands today? Who knows what conference will exist tomorrow? And then what's going on campus? So I will focus on really what's going on campus as it pertains to us being a proud resident of Fort Worth. So the national level, for those of you who follow athletics, and I realize not all of you do, we talk about it all day, every day. I live it, I breathe it, I dream it. We have nightmares about it. It is not easy to comprehend what's going on. So essentially, I will try to distill it down to, there was a lawsuit that was decided just over a year ago called the House Settlement. And the House was actually a swimmer, a student-athlete swimmer at the university, or Arizona State University, who sued the NCAA and said, I worked long hours in college. I should have been paid for it. When I was a student-athlete at Wake Forest on full scholarship, I was not allowed to get another job. You can't get a second job because that's getting paid above the scholarship cost. I couldn't have more than a granola bar or a piece of fruit. Anything above that would be considered an impermissible meal. So over 100 years, those were the types of rules that the NCAA had. Essentially overnight, we went from working really hard to make sure that no one in the corporate world ever interacted with one of our student athletes, making sure that our student athletes didn't exercise or train more than 20 hours a week. And overnight it was, how do we introduce these student athletes to every single corporate partner in the country so that they can get as much money as they want? We feed them 3 meals a day, all you can eat. And we still hope that they go to class and work really hard and earn a degree. So the House settlement said, NCAA, you're guilty. You owe $2.8 billion to student athletes who competed for you over the last decade. All the conferences were told, Conference USA, each one of you schools owe this much to pay off the $2.8 billion. Big 12, you owe this. Big 10, you owe this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we are paying back damages on that. Along with that back settlement, they said, from this point moving forward, you will take 22% of blah, 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 this algorithm that equals $20.5 million. You will take $20.5 million of your revenue and you will share it with your student athletes. Most of us who were in the college athletics business, and I ironically was at the United States Military Academy at West Point in that role at the time, we all said, well, hold on, we already do revenue share. We take the revenue from the one sport that actually creates revenue, and we share it with our tennis, our golf, our softball, our volleyball, all those programs. That's how we pay for our track team, through the revenue that we get from football. And now we're told you have to take $20.5 million of that revenue, which the great majority of schools don't get $20.5 million of revenue just from football. And now we're sharing it with student athletes, or we're allowed to share it. You don't have to do it unless you want to win a game. And we're now sharing that. So the immediate question and the concern from a lot of the smaller schools was, well, if we have to do that, how are we going to keep our track program and our tennis program and our golf program? Unintended consequences of some of these decisions. So we are doing that. Fortunately at TCU, we have the resources and the ability to kind of cover that $20.5 million, which we all thought would be, that's your payroll. That's how you build your teams. What we learned about 45 minutes after that settlement was signed, that there are certain schools, you can probably picture who they are in your head, that said, awesome, 20.5 to start, how can we find another 10, 15, $20 million and funnel it to our student athletes so that we can have a better roster than our biggest rivals? So we went from thinking that there was a cap to realizing that the cap was actually the floor. So it is a true keeping up with the Joneses. Another part of the House settlement was, we are going to set up an independent entity, not called the NCAA, because the NCAA does not have the greatest reputation for investigations and enforcement. They were also under about, I think, 8,000 lawsuits at the time of that. Number continues to climb. And so they said, the NCAA is busy. Let's create something called the College Sports Commission, the CSC. And the CSC is charged with investigation, tracking, and enforcing. So we all submit, here's how we're spending our $20.5 million that we're allowed to share with our athletes. We're going to give this guy $1 million, this girl $500,000, blah, 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 blah. We file that with the CSC. CSC also is the mechanism that says, as I mentioned, those schools that within 45 minutes said, how can we funnel another $10 million? They're the enforcement agency that says, we approve of that name, image, and likeness deal, or we don't approve of that name, image, and likeness deal. What we are waiting for is the results of a lot of investigations. We all hear the rumors, so-and-so's spending $40 million on their roster, so-and-so's spending $8 million for a quarterback. If those things are true, hopefully they find a way to legitimately operate and send $8 million to that quarterback. If not, the CSC is expected to insert themselves and hold schools accountable if they're exceeding the allowed cap. I won't go into the participation agreements. So the SCORE Act, which was headed up by Senators Cruz and Cantwell, has morphed into something that is now called the Protecting College Sports Act. If you follow athletics, there's hope that it may make it to the floor and be voted on by the House and Senate. I don't give it a high percentage of passing, but the main gist of that is, well, there's several main gists. One is, we hope that there is a national standard. Right now, Louisiana makes a rule that says all the NIL deals for all of the student athletes within the state of Louisiana are tax exempt. Anytime something like that happens, as you would expect, the next state over does the same thing, and the next state over does the same thing, because heaven forbid we give somebody else an advantage over our college football team, and let's have our taxpayers cover it. A second piece of that act is controlling agents. Agents are currently running college athletics with no supervision whatsoever, no registry. They're trying to fix that. And they're also trying to give some sort of limited antitrust. The only reason that the NCAA worked for decades was they were allowed to make rules that every school that participated in the NCAA had to follow. What we have found, I mentioned the 8,000 lawsuits. What happens now is we all say we want to follow the rules until you rule against us, and then we sue you so that our starting point guard can play 3 more games. And each state was saying, you know what, NCAA, we heard that you ruled him ineligible. We're going to rule him eligible, or her eligible. So we need to get back to a national standard where what the NCAA rules, I always equate it to a country club. If you join a country club and you show up in jeans cutoff shorts, they probably say, you can't play golf here, you need a collared shirt and shorts. There are places that you can play golf with cutoff jeans and a tank top. It just can't be at our country club. So the NCAA needs to get back to say, if you want to play 29-year-olds on your basketball team, cool, you just can't play in our league. So we're trying to get back to that. And then finally, this Sports Act, if it were passed, allows essentially a double plus. So instead of having $20.5 million, we would have $48.5 million to pay our student athletes. And you cannot go above it for any way, shape, or form, unless you are a unique status like an Arch Manning who has a high recognition to his name and talent level, and they would have a legitimate NIL purpose. But for the regular Tom, Dick, and Harry of college athletics, if you exceed that $48.5 million, you're in big, big trouble. The other lawsuit right now is Wisney versus the NCAA, which essentially, when I played college, I got 4 years. What they're saying now is you get 5 years. And perfect example of where we are, it was approved. Cool. If you can stay healthy for 5 years, you can play for 5 years. And guess what happened? We said that starts July 1st of this year. The kids who graduated on June 20th of last year are suing the NCAA saying, you're discriminating against me. I should get a 5th year. So that's kind of us in a microcosm. Real quick at the Big 12 level, if you follow it, we are now the Monster Energy Big 12. I will hold off on commenting. I will say this. 15 years ago, the delta between the Big 12's television contract and the SEC's television contract was about $4 million. Next year, the delta between the Big 12's television contract and the SEC's television contract will be $61 million, and the Big Ten. So the Big Ten and the SEC have clearly separated themselves from the ACC and the Big 12 by a tune of $60+ million a year. So imagine if we all ran the same business, or better example, imagine if Brenda and Veronica were asked to fix a dinner. You get $600 to make it, and you get $20 to make it. I would hope that the $600 budgeted meal would be better. So that's the challenge that we're trying to keep up. All that to say, we're trying to find revenue streams like where the Monster Energy Big 12. The other interesting thing that I find through all of this is there are four Power Four commissioners. They lock themselves in the room and they arm wrestle. And guess what? The ACC and the Big 12 are usually pretty aligned in that arm wrestling match against the Big 10 and the SEC. Well, how do you declare a winner when every vote is two against two? We're trying to get a fifth person in the room, and we think the CSC CEO could be that fifth person to cast the deciding vote, another kind of goofy system that we're in. All right, let's talk about TCU. I mentioned our NIL, I mentioned our revenue share. I'm gonna go through a really quick exercise. We wanna be the most student-athlete friendly NIL department in the country. We're doing fairly well. And by this doesn't mean who's giving the most money. This means how do we support you? How do we find you deals? How do we execute your deals? How do we minimize distractions? You're supposed to go to class and go to practice and rush your fraternities and have fun in college. So we're trying to be one of the best in the business. New things that are available, relevant to this room. About 15 colleges and institutions have signed on with corporate partners to put their logo on their jersey. Sounds kind of gross, but it is a new reality that we live in. Most of them are local deals. So for those of you who run or operate businesses or work with people who do, and you feel like a TCU jersey with Higginbotham Insurance would look really awesome, we would love to talk to you about that opportunity. It is truly not a one-way street. I mean, some of the deals are $18 million a year for that jersey patch. Our leagues and our expectations are a little bit less, but that is prime real estate if you think about it, as we have high expectations certainly for football and basketball and women's basketball this year. So let's talk about how this works. I'm going to rip through this. So this is 100% theoretical, but this is a theoretical basketball roster. So I mentioned that $20.5 million that we can now share with revenue. The House settlement judge told us in her ruling for that $2.8 billion, you should give 75% of that money to former football players, and 15% of it to former men's basketball players, and 4% to women's basketball players, and the rest, whatever you think needs to be done. So they kind of gave us a template. So our revenue share out of $20.5 million, if we wanted to take 15.4% of that and share that and say our basketball coach, you have $3.5 million to build your roster. Keep in mind the average roster of the Sweet 16 teams last year was between $10 and $12 million. So if you look at your starting five and you say, okay, our best players, $2.2 million each, and then we'll spend $1 million for a good shooting guard, blah, 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 800. Well, that's kind of what we thought the going rate would be midway through last season as we started to speculate, and our team does a bunch of research and reaching out. The challenge is, if we called Baylor tomorrow and said, how much are you paying their center? They would say, none of your business. That's for us to know and you to find out. We are not sharing information. No one knows how we're breaking down our revenue share and our NIL, and we don't really know, other than student athletes that we recruit or transfer in, and they tell us, I was making X, Y, or Z at my previous institution. But these are the going rates. And think about this, our basketball coach got calls from 6 different human beings saying, hey, Coach Dixon, I represent Joe Schmo, point guard at University X. If you pay him $1.6 million, he'll transfer to TCU next year. Next day, hey, I represent Joe Schmo from University X. If you pay him $1.8 million, he'll play for TCU next year. 6 different people saying, I work with Joe Schmo. So guess what happens? Sooner or later, somebody says, hell yeah, we need a point guard. We'll pay Joe Schmo $1.7 million. That agent will now call Joe Schmo and say, hey, Joe, my name is Mike Buddy. I got great news for you. I know we've never met, but if you sign a contract with me, I can get you $1.4 million to go play point guard at TCU. That's the world that we're living in with some of these agents. So the agent pockets $300,000 right off the bat. Joe Schmo's ecstatic. He can't believe he's getting $1.4 million, and TCU gets their new point guard. So a goofy world that we live in. No one knows if these going rates are actually the going rates. But simple math. Hey, Coach Dixon, you have $3.5 million to build your roster. Well, I need $7 million to be 14th in the league of 16 teams and build 5 starters. And we all know you can't play basketball all season with 5 starters. So the arms race continues, and you have to figure out, okay, if we have $3.5 million to spend, can we legitimately find another $3.5 million from Horned Frog fans, local businesses that say, we would love to give your starting point guard $350,000 to be our spokesperson? If you manage to find that donor, then you have to go to the CSC and say, we want to give our starting point guard $350,000 to plug this local car wash. They're going to do 20 social media posts. They're going to do 5 in-person appearances. And the CSC says, perfect, but that's only worth $100,000. Or they might say, you can do that for $350,000, but they have to make 100 social media posts and 10 in-person visits. And then you ask the student athlete, do you want to do that? And they say, for $350,000, I will. So these are some examples, and Ryan Peck is here, who leads our LEAP agency, who, for those of you who are interested in working with a women's basketball player, men's basketball player, baseball player, tennis player, please see Ryan at the end of the lunch. But these are some of the cool things. So they're like Jersey Mike's, cool little activations. They give one of our basketball players a few bucks. They go and make subs in the restaurant. We put it on social media. And then we do not pay our student athletes in equal monthly installments. If you think about it, for those of you who have college students, we give you a big chunk when you commit and show up at TCU. We give you a big chunk in April because there's these things called taxes that they don't know about, and say, here's another chunk, you're going to send this to the government. And then we normally give them another chunk shortly after the transfer portal closes. So if you decide to return to TCU and finish the school year, you get the rest of your money. Tricky stuff. This is just some of our wins last year. Despite all of this, and I'm sounding overly negative, we're still performing at the highest level we've ever performed at. One little item here, the Director's Cup is interesting. I like to note this. The Learfield Director's Cup is the trophy that the best program in the country gets. And they measure the best program by saying, take your top 20 sports and you get a certain level of points the further you advance in the NCAA championships. 100 points if you win the national championship, 75 if you're in the runner-up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For 29 consecutive years, the same school won the Director's Cup. Anybody want to guess who that? Stanford. 29 consecutive years. Water polo national champs, women's golf national champs. They have not won the last 4 years. The same school has won the last 4 years. Anybody want to guess? Texas. 4 years ago, what happened? You were able to start paying your student athletes. That's not a commentary. That's not good, bad, or other. That's just a fact. So these are some of the things. We won 8 Big 12 championships. We want to win 30 over the next 5 years. I will note, if you're joining us in Dublin, Ireland, we will be kicking off in 22 days. College football is here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and then here's some of our goals. So a lot of these goals, as I talk about it, and this is not a fundraising effort, and I'm not here to ask for money, but if you are spending marketing dollars for your business and you think it would be cool to have a student athlete representing your business, that would be helping us and hopefully helping you. All right, 12:54. No questions? Okay, great.
How's this affecting high school sports?
Horribly. High school student athletes, like myself, used to choose where they wanted to go to school. You know why I chose it? Courses of study, majors, geography, facilities. Some people are still using those methods to choose their schools, but not every. And this lawsuit about now these 26-year-olds want another year of eligibility. Think about if you are, like you're packing up to go move into your dorm right now, and you might get to your institution, TCU will not be doing this, but some will, that say, I am so sorry, you're a great left-handed pitcher, but this dude who decided not to turn pro, he wants to come back. So tough to be a high school student athlete. Also really tough, unless you are a stud of all studs. You know, we signed 14 high school players last year. I think that was the most in the Big 12. Used to be 24 every year. So these kids are now having to make a conscious choice of, hey, maybe I go to a smaller school, get bigger, stronger, faster, and then transfer into the school that I want to get to. But, you know, that fractures your relationships and not all of your credit hours transfer. So it's a tough time to be a high school athlete. Yes, sir?
I've heard a rumor, like SEC maybe they possibly just leave the NCAA and do it on their own because they can support themselves? Another question around conferences, how's Notre Dame doing?
It's a great question. Those are two good questions. So the first question was, there's rumors that the SEC is going to take their ball and go home. My colleague at Iowa State said, awesome, do it. Can't wait, please. And his point was, there's 18 of you, and you're all really good, but you're not going to get to play any of us in anything ever again. If you're going to take your ball and go home, you're playing each other in soccer and baseball and volleyball. You're not getting to play Butler in basketball anymore or Gonzaga in basketball anymore. But what Commissioner Sankey, when he clarified his comments, what he was saying is, they're not going to take their ball and go home. They're just going to say, if we're not going to have a national standard to govern us, then we may just have to govern ourselves. And then what was your second question? Notre Dame. For whatever reason, and they're a great brand, they're great history, great institution, they do continue to get a free pass. The University of Connecticut's also independent, but they don't have a seat on every committee and every board. When I was at Army, we were an independent. We didn't get a seat on any committees or any board. So obviously they're a monster in our industry, and they are, in their, to their credit, very thoughtful and supportive, and so they have a seat at the table. Yes, ma'am. We hope that their parents are, but we don't assume that their parents are. Here's an interesting fact. We have a sponsorship agreement with Liberty Tax. And part of that is they provide 100 spots with their tax advisors every spring. And we offer that to our student athletes through 5 different mechanisms. And how many do you think how many of those 100 spots were taken last year? 5. I think 5. So we can lead them to water, but we can't make them drink. Yes, sir?
If you had a magic wand, what 3 things would you do?
I have a magic wand. The first thing I would do is wish for unlimited things to do. I would create a national board that includes student athletes and coaches and administrators, and lock ourselves in the room until we figure this out. The problem is we've not included student athletes yet to the level that I think that they should be included. Number 2, I would eliminate conferences as it pertains to football. I would pick up everybody's football program and say, where do you want to go? And again, not to keep talking about Army, we were an independent. We played in the bowl subdivision. We could play BYU, we could play TCU, we could play SMU. But the rest of our sports were in the Patriot League. So our softball team and soccer team, they were busing to Lehigh and Lafayette and Holy Cross. The poor kids that are at Stanford that are playing softball and they have to fly to Boston College on a Wednesday, doesn't make much sense. What was the third thing I would do? Somehow eliminate all the lawsuits. Because once you allow them to start, everybody's just like, oh, well, cool, let me do it too. 2 people that used to be irrelevant to the conversation as it pertains to funding were the student athletes, other than we spend our budget money to feed them and train them, and lawyers. And now I would say we as an industry spend 50% of our money on student athletes, paying them, and lawyers, paying them. Yes?
So we're saying student athletes, so I'm just curious, how does grades play a part in this? The student athletes have grades that get money, and they're tied to grades and all, one of them is like the college.
Yeah, so he asked about grades and where do grades fit into this? Same way they always have. Eligibility standards still exist, minimum GPAs still exist. The biggest challenge, and I mentioned that lawsuit, we're trying to limit the transfer portal. It used to be if you didn't like your school and you wanted to transfer, you could, but you had to sit out a year. We changed that and said, now you can transfer anytime you want, any day of the week, as many times as you want. What we were trying to do is put the applesauce back in the jar and say, how about you can transfer once, no penalty, immediate eligibility, because here's what's happening, and you've read about them, and it's usually one of the best players. 4 years, 4 different schools. If you come to TCU and you pass 40 credits and you don't like what you're getting and you transfer to Baylor, guess what? Baylor's going to accept maybe 32 of them. So now you've lost 8 credits. Now you got 32. You take another 40 credits at Baylor and you don't like what you're getting there, and you transfer to St. John's, and St. John says, we'll accept 28 of those 40 credits. So now you're just losing credit, and these kids who, those I think are being taken advantage of, are going to finish their 4 years of eligibility with some money in their pocket, but no college degree. And as we all know, if you had $500,000 when you're 20, that sounds awesome, but it's really $250,000 if you're paying your taxes. And that doesn't get you very far. So grades still matter. And I'll say this, TCU does not offer online classes, and that makes me so proud to be associated with it. I guarantee you over half of Power 4 football players no longer go to class in person, and that's a mandate by their coach. Online only, so that we can feed you, train you, lift weights, no distractions, watch video. And to me, that's not a great college experience. Thank you all.
So Mike, what can you do about getting those tickets down in price? That's really important.
You missed the whole point of my talk.
No, I was listening. I was listening. It's a tradition of the Rotary Club of Fort Worth to make a donation in honor of our speakers to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund, which we'll do. We really appreciate you being here. This is a pretty good sized audience today. A lot of people are here, so thank you so much. Thank you, sir. And I think I met, yeah, let's go that way. Thanks. Just a moment. I want to thank again today's sponsor, Dwayne Morris LLP, and Fort Worth Office Attorneys Veronica Law, Ellen Gillis, Taylor Wynn. Now, I have to admit, I have a relationship with one of them. There's special interest anyway, and some of you may not know that. So here goes. Veronica, would you like to go out tonight? Okay, she said yes. 25 years does that. Okay. Just a couple other things. Like I said, we're running just a few minutes late, but I do want to get through this, and I'm going to have something beyond these announcements here. We welcome Barclay Burden, CEO of Texas Health, next week, the 14th. The Rotary Vibrant Club Workshop is coming up next Saturday, August 15th. If you are interested in signing up for that, please see Aurora after the meeting. The program committee will meet in the Rotary office afterwards as well. Now, as many of you know, our own Rotarian Kay Granger passed away last Sunday. I'd like to take a moment to remember her, and especially for those of you joining us today, see what Rotary does in the community, because this will give you a very good idea, understanding. Kay joined the Rotary Club of Fort Worth on November 6, 1987. The first year women were allowed to join Rotary International per a United States Supreme Court decision. As a local insurance businesswoman, she was particularly sought after and was recruited as a club member. Her mother was a vice principal at Eastern Hills High School. Kay herself was a former teacher. Kay was part of the first group of female members inducted in the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. She served on the Fort Worth Zoning Commission, City Council, and in 1991 became mayor. In 1996, she was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, the first Republican woman elected to represent Texas in the U.S. House, and later the first Republican woman to chair the House Committee on Appropriations. She played a major role in keeping Carswell Air Force Base open, what is now known as the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, and many of you know that story pretty well. She was also instrumental in securing federal funds for the Trinity River Vision Project, now referred to as Panther Island. Congresswoman Kay Granger was the ship sponsor of the USS Fort Worth and led the drive to have the LCS-3 named for the city of Fort Worth. The Rotary Club of Fort Worth sent letters, this club sent letters to the Secretary of the Navy campaigning for the ship to be called the USS Fort Worth. The Fort Worth community rallied behind the idea of having the first ship named for the city and continues to support the ship and her crews today. She was a remarkable leader and lady, and a Rotarian too. Now, as you know, the USS Fort Worth was decommissioning ceremony was held recently, and the USS Fort Worth Support Committee, many of whom are Rotarians, were there. We were honored to have its crew join us on several occasions here in this room, and I want to thank you to all the Rotarians who served on that committee. My personal thank you to Sean Snell for providing a lot of the information and the pictures today. As I previously said, these are just a few examples of the service our club provides, especially to visitors and folks. We've got to need to keep that in mind, that we do a lot of things in the community and beyond. So for those of you visiting, I hope you'll join us, our club. For those of you who are not yet serving on a committee, please get involved. So have an enjoyable and safe weekend. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
development, yeah. But what I do professionally is basically provide parents just a knowledge of all of that. It's just a lot, yeah. It really is a lot. Yeah, so that was a big goal. So spend most of my time make sure you're protected. Last time that they were right here. Okay. Yeah, nice to meet you.